Hello, traders, and welcome back to another Sunday special. Now, believe it or not, I'm actually filming this a second time. I am so upset with myself because I recorded a 30-minute banger of a video, went through all the different markets that I was watching this week, and realized that the audio was not even recording. So I'm slightly flustered right now, not even gonna lie. But welcome back to another Sunday special. You guys already know that on Sundays, I put out a video each week talking about my ideas and trade setups for the week. And so, you know what? The worst case scenario is I just have to go through my analysis again with you guys this week. And hey, maybe that's just good practice for me. So no worries. Well, we'll do it again because you already know I got you guys with the Sunday special each week. But do me a huge favor, help me out, make me feel a little bit better by liking that video down below. And hey, subscribe if you're new and you want more trading content. We do these each week talking about trade ideas for the week ahead, both from a fundamental and a technical perspective. So we'll go through this here on the first one again is the US dollar. Now the US dollar DXY here, this is a currency sort of conglomerate. So we're looking at the dollar versus things like the yen, the euro, the pound, all of them sort of in one chart. So with that said, this thing has been on a very strong downside move. And I want to talk about this week about some of the setups and ideas for the dollar going into this upcoming week, because we're at a very key spot. So at the dollar where it's currently at, we basically bottomed out at the beginning of the year right around here. And sure enough, price rallied from there. Really good optimism there off of the idea of, hey, the Fed might raise rates. And then we saw a sort of decline in the US dollar as some of the numbers were not as promising. We had some bad unemployment numbers. We had some miss on jobs numbers. We had increase and scares about inflation right now, sort of all driving the price a little bit lower here on the US dollar. In fact, if we scroll out, you can see the upward or the downward trend here on the daily chart is fairly strong for the US dollar. So, with the dollar going into this week, do I think it's going up? Do I think it's going down? Well, here's what I would say for watching for bulls. So is this level going to bottom out and be another great bargain for some great upside on the US dollar? I probably wouldn't bet on it just yet until we see some ideas from the Fed that change the narrative. So right now we have CPI, which is a measure of inflation that is showing a lot of inflation, right? We're seeing some concerning numbers there in the inflation department. And then we also have the Fed saying, hey, we're not going to raise rates for a while. We're going to let them be rock bottom so that the economy can continue to recover. But the issue with that, for the currency at least, is that high inflation plus no interest rate spikes are negative for the currency, right? So from a fundamental perspective, I am bearish at this time on the US dollar until this sort of changes. Now, there are talks about potentially debating over tapering, which tapering, if you're not familiar, the idea of tapering is when you print money, when the Fed or central banks around the world print money, it causes the currency to devalue, right? Well, when you print less of it or taper, and you buy less bonds, it actually is bullish for the currency because of the idea of less printed currency means less supply means more demand. Makes sense, right? Fairly simple concept. So when we talk about this with tapering, if there is positive sentiment around this, then by all means, we could see the dollar bottom out and continue another push and maybe even break through the previous high there. But I wouldn't bet on it until I start to see it. So for now, I have an overall bearish bias on the US dollar until we see some shift there. So that's my big picture from the US dollar. I do want to say also, by the way, this Sunday special, we're going to be going through a whole bunch of charts. As you know, I've got some of my watch list pulled up here. These are some of the currencies and currency pairs that I will be watching, especially inside of the private group. Now, speaking of the private group, we don't do big sales often. Right now, we have 40% off of our gold membership. Inside of our private Discord, you get access to our chat rooms. You get access to all of my trades. So in these trade alerts sections or videos or trade idea videos, I talk about setups and things that I'm looking at. But inside of the private group, that's where I actually execute trades and put my entries, my exits, stop losses, all that sort of thing, as well as two of our other experienced analysts inside of the group who share their trades. We also have some live coaching webinars with Joe Barreca. He's an experienced trader from Australia who answers questions and works with members. We also have chat rooms and training educational material, all that sort of stuff. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, if you've been waiting to join our private group, now is the chance to do so for the best price you're probably ever going to get for gold membership. It's a one-time fee to join us. We're looking for more serious traders to join us inside of the group. There's info down below in the description, 40% off using that promo code down below. I'll leave some information there for you if you want to jump on that. Again, take advantage of it. If you've been meaning to join us, that is your chance. It is only there for a limited amount of time, so check it out. Okay, so that's what I've got on the dollar. Let's go ahead and jump into some of the watch list. By the way, like I said, we have some ones that we want to talk about, and one of those is going to be the Euro USD. So let's pull up the euro against the dollar and talk about what happened last week and what could be on the docket for this week. So for my euro traders out there, let's take a look. So big picture, we did manage to break above this 1.21 level, which was a pretty key spot. 1.215 was a big barrier for buyers. We did break above that, and this week we just did a little pogo stick move. We went back and forth here. You can see some strange looking candles there as we just went up, went down, went up, went down, and ended the week sort of hinging on this spot of support. So when we watch this for the euro dollar coming into this week, let's talk about the idea. So I do think that I have a target here. So long as that that dollar bearishness is intact, I think we're probably headed to 1.235 on the euro, unless things drastically change in that narrative for the US dollar. But for now, I think a natural place for this rally to continue to, maybe there's some pullbacks in the meantime, but I think we probably make a move up to 1.235. So that is my personal target for the euro USD, a move back to this high. From there, I'm not super bullish on the euro. The euro is not something that I'm like, oh, to the moon with the euro, but it is something that I think has room to expand and to continue upwards because, you know, we had this whole idea where the euro area was doing terrible with their vaccine rollouts compared to the US. In this time back here, by the way, the euro was doing better. We sort of flipped, but now we sort of see the euro doing pretty good. Things are getting back in progression there. And so the whole Euro USD bullish thesis is sort of back for the time being, especially off of the recent bearishness for the dollar. So with that said, if we drop it down to the 4-hour chart, watch this area this week, because this is the biggest thing that I have to talk about, is the fact that we've got this consolidation zone where, you know, we made a break past this high. This beautiful candle to the upside was super bullish for Euro bulls. So we actually see, you can see, make that purple. Nice, strong momentum there for the bulls, picking it up here towards the beginning of the week. Then we saw a little bit of profit taking, saw some pullback there, found support once more. And then by the end of the week, we had a Friday reversal, selling right back to that point. So right now seems pretty indecisive, although it started out looking really good and that it could even make a push past this double top by the end of the week. We did not see that. We saw some rollover. And so for now, the trade ideas or setups that I see for the euro, like I said, I think that there's more of a bullish upside, more bullish potential here for the euro at this time. I think that something like this could be a trade setup to watch for, or at least that's what I would be looking for. And then on the flip side, if you are a seller, if you think that there's downside for the euro coming, biggest technical thing I see would be a break of this structure here, something like this, right? So flip side, really, but where we are currently at, unless you're just looking to buy the pullback here or something, I think that there's not too much interest for me just where we're currently at. I'd probably wait for a fresh break, some fresh demand to come in there, right? And what I mean by that is you have this level. As soon as that gets broken for the first time in a while, you have some fresh buyers that can come in and push prices higher. So that's what I'm looking at on the euro for this week ahead. I don't have a huge interest in trading this currency pair. I'll be honest with you. I think that there's better trades out there. And so let's just keep moving along. Again, if just because I say that doesn't mean you can't trade it. That's just my opinion and perspective. So you can see all my markups from when I did this recording earlier, but with the pound dollar, I am very much bullish on this. So this is a currency pair that I'm more interested personally in trading than the euro dollar is the pound dollar. I think you have some major levels of demand if prices pull back, and an even more interesting perspective if things make a move higher. We had a longer term bias towards 1.42, or I guess I did. I had a target there of 1.42 up to the previous high. Throughout this consolidation, I basically thought that, you know, hey, we can make a move back and retest this high, especially if this overall strong uptrend is going to continue. We've seen a really impressive rally for the pound dollar. And until that truly changes in terms of, you know, dollar bullishness or a narrative shift on the pound, I just sort of am going the path of least resistance, which I think is looking for continuations higher on this currency pair. So we are looking at the 4-hour chart. And let me give you my two perspectives on the pound for this week. If we get some steep selling, it may be time for me to go shopping. So if I look for some steep selling off down to 1.4, I really like the idea of getting long on a pullback here. Let me draw a fib for you from the recent double bottom there. And you can actually see it's not like the cleanest area, but this whole point, 0.5 or the 50% retracement on this level looks pretty good for buy side. So, I could see myself saying, hey, if price comes down here, maybe I get long right around here with a stop somewhere underneath that 50% retracement. That's just one idea. Now, the other scenario that I actually even like more, believe it or not, would be to buy the pound at a higher price on a pullback. So something like this. If we get that break of 1.42, if we get that break, then the retest to me looks like a buy. Now, hear me out, because it does seem like it's high, right? But look at this from a bigger perspective for a moment, and you can see something kind of cool. We went into this major strong uptrend on the pound. Then we entered now into a sideways market. Even though we've been trending up recently on the lower time frames, on the bigger picture, on the daily chart, we've been pretty sideways for a while. If we can break that and continue this upward to another stretch, again, this may look high now, but again, this is the idea of trends. What looks high now could actually be relatively a bargain, right? If we get another trend expansion on this pound dollar move. So both of these scenarios look good for me. I'm bullish on the pound dollar. I think it has more upside. And please remember, I can be wrong, and please don't go take trades just because I talk about them. You can trade whatever you want. These are my ideas and analysis, and I'm not here to give you financial advice. These are all just my opinions. But again, the pound dollar is heavy on my watch list. I should also say that I took some buy trades on pound Swiss, and fortunately I got out of them. I trailed out of a profitable position there on pound Swiss just before it started to give back up on a bunch of its profits. I bought right around this area, sold somewhere up in here, and glad I did, because by the end of the week, it basically trailed back down. But looking at a lot of the pound pairs this week, I will be probably taking more trades if I can find a setup. The pound pairs are high on my watch list for bullishness. One of the major reasons is that the pound, their numbers look really promising. Their vaccine rollout was much better than a lot of the other places in the world. And you sort of had talks of tapering, and things are just overall looking pretty decent in the UK compared to a lot of the other currencies. Now, please remember that all currencies have their ups and downs, and every economy is not perfect. It's just that you're trying to find something that is better than the rest, right? And I currently really like the CAD, and I really like the GBP for upside. So that is my opinion. Like I said, I can be wrong, but that's what I'm looking for this week. And we will see if there's any great setups coming in. So again, like I said, pullback to 1.4 looks good, and the breakout retest looking for opportunities will look good there. And like I said, if I take a trade inside of the private group, members will see that in real time. I put, like I said, all my trades there. Yeah, so let's keep going. We'll take a look at the next one. We're going to take a look at gold here, XAU, USD, see what's going on with the gold market today. And you can see we got this nice little channel to the upside. And let me tell you guys, I am pretty bullish on gold, especially with that bearish thesis on the US dollar right now. Gold looks even more appetizing with currency or fears of currency inflation on the US dollar, and the COT reports looking very promising. In fact, let me show you guys that. Let's check out the COT report for gold right now. You can find this on our website. Head over to A1 Trading. I'll show you how to get this. So you go to A1 Trading. Here's the home page. If you go to a1trading.com, just go to COT reports right here. You can look at any of these if you want on your own time. I put this together for free for you guys. Like I said, there's literally no strings attached. You just can use the website anytime you want for all the tools we have there. But if I go down to gold, check this out. So we'll pull this up, and I want to show you this chart here. So check this out. So for the last 2 weeks, we've had two nice increases on the demand for gold in terms of COT report data. So this means that institutional traders, the non-commercials, this is your hedge funds and mutual funds and all these big boys and girls trading the markets, they are buying gold, at least for the last 2 weeks, as of Tuesday's data last week. That's the latest report that we get. that's pretty bullish for gold. Honestly, that looks pretty good for the demand for gold. You've got institutional traders getting into this thing and trying to buy it. And honestly, with the breakout from a technical perspective, let's look at the daily chart just for a moment. Look at this. You had sellers coming in, sellers coming in. Where are the sellers? They're none to be found right now. We actually saw price break out of a key spot and continue higher. So for me right now, gold is looking bullish. We're finally starting to see, this whole movement play out really nicely. I bought gold on my longer term investment accounts somewhere around here, I want to say. And so far that's looking pretty good. But to be completely transparent with you, I think I bought some of it back here as well. So I think I'm like flat or slightly positive between those two, but those are investments. That's not trading. And you guys don't care about investments. We're here to trade, right? Well, investing and trading, there's a lot of similarities. I'd say there's more similarities than differences. It's a lot of psychological warfare and all that stuff. But anyways, from a trading perspective, I think that the dollar is weak right now. You've got gold looking very good. And from a pullback perspective, I think that there could be some great setups on gold. You've got this previous area here. That could be a great little scenario to look for pullbacks there, or at least in my opinion. Something like that could be nice for retracement. I don't want to be buying the high here. I don't want to be chasing this market. I'd rather be waiting for a pullback to look for trade setups. But I think your risk reward looks pretty decent here. For example, let's say price does come down to the bottom of this channel and gives us another opportunity. Let's say you even were like doing more of a swing trade. And you said, okay, if price comes down to this spot here, right? Price comes down to the bottom of the channel. You got that nice little upward trend line and that broken longer term trend line retesting. Bam, looking for that long. Stops below structure here, at a point where we'd be forming a lower low. I like that a lot. So my risk is managed to a degree. And then looking for my target on gold now, which is 1950. So 1950 is our next logical longer term place for bullish gold movements to go. Now, of course, if things change dramatically, if we get a strong push on the dollar and things change big time for gold, then by all means, we might need to scrap this idea and look to just, in my case, maybe stop out or, not be looking for gold trades at that time. But for example, if this plays out, if the natural place for gold to go is to continue to push higher, 1950 seems like a pretty reasonable place to do so. From there, the bigger picture, a recent move to the previous high, or a big move to the previous high, actually all-time high, back up to 2075, 2050, that zone could be in the works as well. And so these are the scenarios where things get really interesting from a risk reward perspective, because you're saying, okay, if I could risk this trade, let me, by the way, let me brag on one of our analysts. He's a friend of mine and also an analyst inside of A1 Trading Company, which is my my business. We have a couple different traders from around the world, and one of them is in the city with me. So he's in Atlanta. His name is Frank, and he shares his trades inside of the group. And he bought gold at 1718. You guys, that is all the way back here. So let me show you this. 1718 is right here. He bought gold at this time and is still in that trade. So crazy, man, Frank. Still in that trade. He basically identified that double bottom and he was looking for gold opportunities. And him and I both were on the same page. Back here, there was just not a lot of buying. Like, where's the buyers? You don't see them in this chart. Then you start seeing them when you get something like this. You get this big fat green candle. And he basically said, hey, the risk reward looks really good. It looks like we formed the bottom here and I'm going to take the risk. And sure enough, it created this amazing risk reward trade for him. I think he's just trailing stops at this point and still running with it inside of the private group. So shout out to Frank and all the other members who caught some of that gold bullishness. Again, that's like months ago, right? That's back in March that he took that trade and still holding it. So sometimes it's not about taking a million trades. It's about just riding the really good ones and letting them do their thing. So on gold, like I said, if I was to be trading it, maybe I could get such a good entry like Frank, pullbacks like this and maybe looking for the continuation up to 1950. So, and I think Frank also, by the way, just to update you guys, I think Frank still is holding, like he's still a believer in gold upside. He's trailing his stops so that he locks in profit, but which is something that him and I both do. We have a very similar style of trading, but it's one of those things, just looking for those fantastic risk to reward scenarios. That's what it really is all about when it comes to trading and having the patience to actually hold a move like this. I don't know. Would you guys be able to hold a trade like that? I mean, that's pretty tempting to take profits, right? But Frank just did what he's meant to do. He trailed stops and let it go. And so that's the cool thing about, finding those great trade setups and actually having the discipline to stay in them. So congrats to Frank and congrats to the other VIP members who caught some of that trade. So let's keep going. We'll take a look at something else. Like I said, bullish opportunities seem to be everywhere for gold. If it gives me a pullback, maybe I'll look for something there. Let's look at Aussie dollar. So we'll take a look at the Australian dollar here, pulling back, by the way, to the bottom of this range. And in fact, I've taken a couple trades here on the Aussie. I've been really, really trying to catch the break because I think at some point we move to my target of 0.8, which is right up here. I'm going to do this with you guys here on camera. Let's just expand this out because that's going to bother me if it's not fully expanded out. There we go. Okay. So, yeah, so my idea here with the Aussie dollar is I've taken a couple small hits, small losses on this thing, trying to catch the move. I really want to see another attempt past this level, and I have not shied away from trying to buy the lows. In fact, I've had a couple good trades here, couple break evens and some losses, but the overall idea that I'm looking for is to try and see if we can get one of these guys going. I think that 0.8 is still in the works. I am bullish on the Aussie for much the same that I'm bullish on some of the other crosses against the dollar. I think the dollar is weak right now. And until that changes, I'm looking to buy some of the more commodity-based economies like Canada, Australia, and some of the other ones, right? So those two being the big ones, at least for me, Aussie, Canadian dollar, things like that. So with that said, when I'm watching the Aussie here, there's a couple setups like they're very similar to the pound. Pullbacks here looking decent. I'm looking for opportunities. Maybe I'll give it another stab for these dips like this until they really start to hold. I'm willing to try for it. Now, if it breaks down, of course, I will always take my stop losses quickly. There's not like a hesitation for me when it hit stops. I just stop losses are a weird thing because for a lot of traders, they hate getting their stops hit. And for me, if it, even before it hits my stop, I'm like itching to get out of the trade, which is weird because when I was a new trader, it was the exact opposite. I'd be like, get away from my stop. Like, please don't, I'll move my stop further, right? It's going down. I'm going to keep, but for me now, it's like, just as it starts to even get close, I'm like tempted to just close it before, which I've actually done so before. And that's fine because, like, honestly, the faster you could stop out of losers, for me at least, that's just the better way of trading because, like, losses, if you let them get out of control, that's the worst thing that you can ever do, at least in my opinion, for trading, right? So if I'm looking at this, I think there's some decent risk reward. What I could see myself doing, let me give you guys an example. If the Aussie creates some sort of little price action or movements to the upside, maybe I buy here. And let's just say in my ideal little world, I get everything that I ever wanted. Let's say we get the break. Maybe I can even see myself adding. So I've done this before. I did this on the CAD Swiss and made some great returns there. Maybe you guys saw the video that I put out on my channel. But let's say I took trade number 1 here. And let's say that price action looks great. I'm holding on to my trade. And then bam, we get a break and retest. And I say trade entry number 2. And then all my dreams come true. We make a move all the way up to 0.8 like I always wanted. And then Christmas comes early and I take that trade there. I take profit or I look to trail stops from there. That is a scenario in which I can see, things just being the perfect scenario. Now, does it always work out perfect? No, I wish it did. Things would make it so much easier on me as a trader if everything just did exactly what I wanted. But as I'm sure a lot of my friends in the audience know, you guys know, it doesn't work out like that. Sometimes it does weird stuff. You get trailed out. You get fake outs and stuff like that. But for me, like I said, those are the scenarios that I'm looking for on the Aussie dollar. And it doesn't take me winning all the time or being absolutely correct to make money. It just takes me, being right every once in a while and letting it really count. Because if this trade were to happen, that's a 5.8 to 1 just from scribbling around, messing around with this. This is not like an actual trade setup for me right now, but that's something that I would be looking at, right? So that's the scenario. I say, okay, do we get some price action? Do things look good on the lower time frames? Bam, I'll look for an entry. From here, I might look to add on a break and retest and just ride that trend. On the flip side, if things just go totally against me, if everything goes against me, I'll just stop out very quickly and just look for another opportunity. Maybe I find that I want to buy this level next, give this a try. If it doesn't work out, maybe we just pause on the Aussie bullishness for now. That's my approach to trading, is ifs and thens, and just being patient and accepting when I'm wrong, and then trying to make it count when I'm right. That is literally all I do. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know what's going to happen with the markets. I just make opinion-based decisions. And then if they're right, I let them count. And if they're wrong, I stop out quickly. So we took a look at just a couple markets in depth today. We will be doing live streams throughout the week, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. US Eastern. We've got some extra shows coming on as well. If you want any of that content, make sure to subscribe down below. And hey, please, if you have any interest in joining us, join using this link down below in the description with the promo code there, 40% off of our gold membership. I want to repeat this because for the people out there who have been wanting to get in at a discounted rate, this is your chance. We do not do these sort of sales very often. 40% off is a very steep sale for us, but we wanted to make it available to some of the people out there who have been on the sidelines, who maybe the price is high for them. And so we wanted to just make an opportunity for people out there to get it for cheap. Like I said, you get trade ideas from myself. So any trades that I actually end up taking, my actual account is basically recorded on the content there inside of the private group, as well as two of our other analysts. Like I said, Frank with that crazy gold trade, and then also Patrick from over there in Germany sharing all sorts of trades. We also have a coach who shares live streams throughout the week answering questions for members. His name is Joe Barreca. He's a 14-year trading veteran, very nice guy and a very great trader. And then you also get access to our chat rooms and other great content inside of the group, like our educational material. You can see our strategies in PDF form, as well as all sorts of other content. So if any of this sounds helpful or interesting to you, check the link out down below in the description and use that promo code to get 40% off. Guys, I hope you have a great trading week ahead. Please be careful in markets. Please remember to use caution. Don't be a stupid, gambling trader. Look for discipline, and if you're that kind of trader, like I said, if you're disciplined, if you're very serious about this stuff, we want you inside of our private group. We are looking to attract serious traders, not gamblers, not people who are looking for, get rich quick schemes, none of that. We're looking for serious traders to join us and to add value to our community. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you're new, and we will see you back in the next one.